I'm Phil Dunmore from Premium Classic Cars, and we specialise here in restoring the wonderful, iconic Mercedes 190 SL. These cars were produced between 1955 and 1963, and only 557 were produced in genuine right-hand drive, many going to export markets. We simply specialise in trying to find the right-hand drive cars and bring them fully back to life. Always purchasing matching numbers cars, always carrying out a ground-up restoration such that future owners can be justifiably proud and have some of the best examples in the world, hopefully when we're finished. This particular car, as you might expect, is a motor car that's come pretty much as a barn find. It's a very original motor car. It's a motor car that has most of its parts with it. It's a matching numbers motor car, and it's a motor car that at this point we haven't done anything to it at all. It's literally just arrived on a trailer. As the film progresses, you'll see the various stages, and of course the next stage for this motor car will be as we completely dismantle the car and work out which parts can be refurbished and which have to be replaced. Hopefully not so many in the latter category. Here we have another car that's just arrived. This is perhaps one of the very rarest cars that we've ever been lucky enough to have come to Premium Classic Cars. Just 17,000 miles from new, with MOTs going right back through all of the years, quite a documented history file. Spent a lot of time in storage, which is perhaps indicative of why it has such low mileage. It's in very good running condition. It's a car that we're now going to strip. We'll take it to the very last nut and bolt. We'll then of course repaint it. We'll put a new wiring loom into it. All the mechanical parts in parallel will be completely rebuilt. And the car will come back together again in time for next spring, retrimmed in the dark, lovely burgundy leather colour with a new mohair roof. Proud owner is going to look forward to driving this car next summer. It will have taken us around about 6 months, which is fairly typical of what these cars do take and the kind of timescales we now try to work to here at Premium Classic Cars. Here we have a Mercedes 190 in the unique colour DB166, the blue-grey tone chosen by Mercedes in the 60s. Very rare, fantastically striking and going fantastically well with the wonderful poppy red interior. This is one of the favourite stages of a restoration for me because this is where the car starts to come alive. It's been completely stripped and the shell is back here before we've reassembled any element of it at all, completely freshly painted, and it's very, very beautiful indeed. The car will now of course be assembled and you'll see it come together quite quickly. Here we have an iconic Mercedes-Benz 190 SL, a car that is in the wonderful silver with the dark burgundy interior. This is the favourite colour really of clients. It's certainly the colour that's been most photographed in the world so far, and it's probably the car that everybody aspires to want to own. These are beautiful cars anyway, but it is without a doubt one of the most fetching colour combinations that Mercedes came up with in this period. This is a car really in the third stage of our restoration. It's a car where we've already stripped it completely. The engine has been away separately and been rebuilt. The car has been completely repainted. It's partially retrimmed. A bespoke wiring loom has been remade in Germany. Much of the chrome has been away to the plater and is now being refitted. All of the running gear of the car is now back on the car. Everything was taken to the bare metal and of course repainted exactly as it would have been in period. The boot, the interior of the car and the engine bay are in the famous Mercedes satin black. The radiator has been flushed. The engine is partly connected and now reinstalled, and really not much to do. The owner will be starting to get quite excited at this stage. It's simply a case now of adding the hood and the hood frame, the final details of trim, some final chrome, and then the all-important setting up and road testing of the car. Here we have a car that is really in the second stage. It's a motor car where the engine has been rebuilt and it's come back from our engine builder, along with the gearbox, the axle and the drivetrain. All the suspension components have been completely stripped back to bare metal and repainted correctly, reassembled with bushes and new seals. And the car is now a rolling chassis once again. The new wiring loom from Germany has been inserted, and some of the early stages of trim, carpet and so on are in the car. It's really a motor car which has had about half of the work done in the reassembly process. It's in the wonderful ivory from period, so it's very, very striking with the lovely red interior, which really sets it off extremely well. It's now a motor car that the boys will really get stuck into with a lot of the fine detail, which of course gives the effect of such a beautifully restored car at the end. This one's going to be up and running about 2 to 3 months' time. Here at Premium Classic Cars, we very much specialise in the ground-up restoration of the Mercedes 190 SL. Typically a client makes an inquiry and we very often are in a position to sell perhaps the next car coming in. We try to buy the cars we can from around the world. Sometimes they're not with us for a few weeks. People having secured a place in the queue, we then into a conversation about any particular preferences they have for the car. Most of our clients like to have them in original paintwork with original interior. The fact that they're matching numbers cars, going to have a good history file and have a complete record of every element of what we do is all important, because these cars, you can't ignore the very real value that can be seen in these cars as they're finished. There were only 557 of these cars built between 1955 and 1963 from 25,000 plus cars, many of which of course were left-hand drive. And the first car was exhibited, the prototype, at the New York Auto Show, and it created quite a stir. All important is that we spec out exactly what we're going to do, that we cover off the time scale, that we give clients a good indication of the state of the car as it arrives, and that we fine-tune the details over stage payments and whether they would like an iPhone connection or perhaps a Becker sat-nav. The whole thing, from first meeting someone and saying yes, let's do this, to a finished motor car, somewhere between 6 and 8 months typically. All of the work is done here, with the exception of the paint that goes out, of course, as you'd expect, to a paint shop with an oven where the highest possible standard of paint is achieved. Even engine building is often done here. If there's machining required, it goes locally to Coltec, our engine builder. The loom is made off-site and the chrome is plated off-site. I can only encourage those who have an interest to please get in touch. We'd love to hear from you.